Hello, my name is Rebekah Awuah, and good to have you join us for the Reporters Roundtable, where we tackle issues from all angles and from all sides. And we'll be looking at the impact of changing weather patterns for today. And we know that the African continent faces a major environmental challenge linked to climate change, and Ghana is no exception, as it can be seen in changes in the temperature and rainfall patterns, as well as severe weather patterns, such as chronic flooding and harsh harmattan in some parts of the country, with its adverse impact on health, other activities, and our economy. Although some steps have been taken to address these issues, it is worth noting that the depth of awareness on the part of citizens about the causes and the impact of climate change has been very low. For many news media and editors, the environment is a non-topic, although the media can help raise awareness of the impact of climate change on our daily lives and on our economy. I have been joined in studio by Mr. Peter Wonders. Mr. Peter Wonders is a climate change expert and also a lecturer at the African University College of Communications. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very much.
And as you know, you can also get interactive with us on WhatsApp on 0244 745152. 0244 745152. You can also send in your message on that same number. And we are also streaming live on Facebook at the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation Facebook page. Please like the page, share it, and send in your comments and your suggestions, as well as your questions for clarity. Let's look at this sudden change in our weather pattern. What exactly is accounting for this?
That is climate change, as you earlier on stated, which is caused by the presence of greenhouse gases, and that is the emission of gases we normally emit due to our day-to-day activity, emission of gases starting from the cars we use, the falling down of trees, the planes we use, the burning of bushes, burning of rubbish, the train we use, and all the burning of fossil fuels. They come together to form these greenhouse gases, which has impact on our climate change.
Wow. But how is this change in this climate affects extreme weather patterns, even in our sphere or other parts of the world?
I'll pick it from the northern part of Ghana, the three northern regions. If maybe you have the opportunity, if you ever had the opportunity to visit these three places, you realize that till today, we at the southern sector have the opportunity to farm twice a year, but they only have a period of a season where they farm. That is the cause of the influx of our siblings coming down, trooping down from the north to the southern sector, coming to search for greener pastures, right? And these climate change we're talking about affects every aspect of our lives, starting from the economy, our buildings, everything about human activity on earth is being affected by the climate change. And as I earlier indicated, you realize that those days when we talk about tuber of yam, which normally finds its way from the northern part to the southern part, we have good yields of tuber crops from northern part. But these days, do we normally have that size of tuber crops that we yearn for? The answer is big no. Why is this so? That is the effect of climate change. And if we continue to emit gases into the atmosphere without giving the earth the ability to absorb these greenhouse gases, we are bound to face harsh weather conditions more than what we are seeing today. Because look at the sea. The level of the sea has risen. Fishermen go to the sea and come back empty hands. Though, if you drive through Nungwa to Tema, I think Lashibi area there, you realize they have constructed some sea defense over there. Then you ask yourself, why is it that fishermen go on fishing and return home with empty basket? That is climate change, the cause of or the effect of climate change. When these greenhouse gases is not absorbed from the earth atmosphere, the sea is forced to absorb these greenhouse gases, which increases the sea's acidity level. And once you begin to move from the alkaline to acidity, you realize that the living organisms in the sea, who cannot cope with the sea's temperature, and for that matter, the acidic nature of the sea, perishes.
So with what you've just said, what immediate steps can we take to reverse this?
Giving the earth the ability to absorb this carbon dioxide or this greenhouse gas, that is planting of trees.
And that is long term.
Yeah, but
the short-term measure, are there any?
To be frank, just last week I was talking to my students and I was asking them. They were I think 50 in the class, and I asked, "Are you ready to forfeit your cars? Are you ready to abandon your cars and use the transport system or public transit?" And they were all looking at my face. I said, "Yes." In the morning, Becky, you start your engine, you start burning fossil fuel, emitting gases. I start my engine, and I also start what we call burning fossil fuel. Are you ready to abandon our cars? Are you ready to walk? Are you ready to use bicycles? If we are not ready, then Becky, the question you've asked me is a very big question for me to answer. Because day in, day out, we emit gases. And the pain is that as you use these waste system, these Zoom Lion or those people to collect your rubbish, someone will burn his or her rubbish at home to emit gases. Unfortunately, the person has no trees within the environment to absorb the gases he or she is emitting. And someone buys a plot of land with trees, he decides to clear everything from the land. You have no mouth to even question why. So are we ready to give the earth the ability to absorb these greenhouse gases we're talking about?
But looking at the impact that you cited earlier, that it affects almost every aspect of our lives, our economy, then
our health
as well.
And you know, to a large extent, it has some what we call a share in earthquake.
How so?
It causes earthquake, yes.
How so?
When there's heavy downpour, it also is part of it. It's also part of this earthquake issue. You know, the Arctic, that's the North Pole, and the Antarctic, that's the South Pole, they are all what we call melting. The glaciers there are melting. And when they melt, where do they go? They find their way back into the sea. That is what is causing the what we call the rise in sea levels. And the moment we begin to experience it, you know, our fathers who or our siblings who are by the coast or by the beaches start to lose their farmlands and their homes. So if you go to Qatar, you realize that a lot of edifices along the what we call the beach or the sea are gone. They're being swallowed. School buildings along the coast are being swallowed by the sea. And these are some of the things we need to be discussing. And the remedy to this, the what we call the coconut trees we see along the beaches. Those days you go to the beach, you see coconut trees. Where are they? They are all gone. We see the what we call living organisms in the sea dying. We go to the beach, we see them, the whales and name them, fishes dying along the beach. What have we ever thought about all these? But I don't think we've conducted any research into it to find out why these living organisms in the sea are dying. That's the result of climate change.
But these are, will I say, human activities that has led to this. So knowing that it is our own fault, then of course we need to take some steps. And what steps, aside as perhaps forgoing our vehicles? Because when you talk about climate change and the change in our weather patterns, people think, oh, it is far off. It is a distant topic from us. Bring it home to us.
Sometimes I fear for my life. I fear that I don't know what will happen to me tomorrow because of climate change. You realize about a month ago, if you should have visited any of the farmers, you realize that they were short of what they call these malaria drugs. Everybody was down with what they call fever or this cold, and then people are coughing all. That's climate change. Okay, let me break it down.
Yes.
We need to start with waste segregation. If we are able to segregate our waste, then we may not be forced to be burning them. If we are able to separate the perishable wastes from the unperishable ones, like peels of banana, and name them, those ones we can convert to what we call manure. Then we come back to plastic, we come back to metal, we come to what we call glasses. We know we can recycle plastic, we can recycle metal, we can recycle glass, but we cannot recycle what we call these peels of banana and name them those stuffs, right? The perishable ones. So we convert them into what? Manure. Then when we are able to do these, we may not end up burning our rubbish. That's one. Two, we should stop cutting down trees. Before you cut down a tree, then you make sure you plant like 2 or 3. You replace it before you cut, you destroy. Can you pinpoint any forest in Accra apart from Achimota Forest? No. We've destroyed all those forests in Accra. But today, after here, if you don't mind, visit Mokola or Kantamanto, where we have dense population. You realize that you will struggle for what we call breath. The competition for what we call oxygen is very high over there because there are no trees there. So ask yourself, anytime the light goes off and we start using generator, look at the kind of harmful gases we breathe in and its negative impact on us. Let me come back to the question you asked again. If you've ever traveled on these Tema motorway, getting to Ashama overhead on the left-hand side, you realize that they normally burn car tires over there for metals. Can we stop that? That's a big question. Traveling to Kolebu on after ICGC on the left, you realize that those activities goes on there, and we normally burn this waste where there are no carbon sinks. So when we burn them, we emit these gases. Where do we think it goes? They are trapped in the Earth's atmosphere, and the heat which is supposed to go into the what we call the atmosphere is rather trapped in, which causes the global warming. Again, you know, whenever animals burp, they emit methane. Whenever they drop, they release nitrous oxide and then carbon dioxide. And today, in the inner cities, we have cattle rearing farms. Go to Nima, Mamobi. In the heart of Accra, you see cattle moving. Do we have the carbon sinks to absorb these greenhouses that these animals, these house gases that these animals produces or releases? No. You see, nature or God created the earth in such a way that it's what we call food chain. So if you normally watch these documentaries, Namibia, Botswana documentaries on animals and all that, you realize that there's food chain activities. Sometimes we see lions or tigers eating or feeding on some animals and these herbivores. And we try to say, oh, wow, why should it must happen? Because when their number increases and there are no trees to absorb them, because they have this Sahara desert or whatever they call it, right? And there are no trees to absorb them, it adds to the what? Greenhouse gases, which is harmful to the earth. That's why whenever the number or the population of the animals increases, these lions have to feed on them to decrease what the population. Because when they burp, they release methane. When they drop, they release carbon dioxide and then nitrous oxide. And the trees must be there to absorb them.
And this is the case we have less trees.
Of course, yes.
But one will argue that with population growth, people certainly will need a place of abode. So, for instance, in the urban cities, why do we still keep these trees if we don't have places for people to reside? And again, you talk about anytime you want to pull down one tree, then you need to plant two or three in its stead. With the regional employment situation, if I'm somebody who deals in timber, I deal in wood, I deal in charcoal, and all of those, I deal in things that will require wood, carpentry, and all of those. Would you say that because I cannot plant a tree in place of what I'm about cutting down, I shouldn't feed, or because of population growth, I shouldn't find a place or to reside? Is that what you're saying?
That's not the issue.
Okay.
You come to my house, I have a mini backyard garden full of cocoyam and then cassava. And I'm not interested in the food it will give to me, but rather its absorption of greenhouse gases from my home. And every house in Accra or the urban city must also have trees. We must have a policy. If we don't, I don't know whether we have some, but if we don't have any, but even if we have one, then we need to enforce it, because you decide to tile your compound. I tile my compound. Water from your compound, when there's heavy downpour, water from your compound and my compound, where do they go? They wouldn't get sink. They find their way into the gutters. That causes the flood. But if we have maybe a cup full of this water from your compound, maybe half of it could be what? Absorbed by the water. And mind you, half of it will be absorbed by the water. But unfortunately, we have decided to tile our compounds and we don't plant trees. So when there's heavy downpour, where do this water find itself to? To the gutters, to the drainage system, where our activities have also blocked. That's why we normally observe flooding everywhere of every part of Accra. Are you getting what I'm saying?
Yes, I'm getting.
Yes. We will continue to have our buildings, but yet we should not forget that after building, we must reserve part of the land for trees or vegetation. Again, you were asking of carpenters, those who deal in timber, those who deal in plastic, because we are saying no, we get these plastics from fossil fuel, but don't forget we have bio plastics from trees, right? So we must begin to focus more on bioplastics instead of burning fossil fuel for plastics. If you go to the western region, going to Nzema after Takrady, on the right hand side, you will see rubber trees. Travel from Pram to Aflao, both left and right, you wouldn't see any trees over there. Can't we plant these trees over there? After the Chimay, towards Tamale, Borda, Boku, do you see trees over there? No. Can't we plant these rubber trees over there? Imagine we planted about 1 million Odum trees, 1 million Wawa trees, 1 million sapele trees. In the next 10 years, my sister, we'll have abundance of what? Timber. But we are destroying the forest without replacing it. The last time I visited Atiwa Forest, and the other day I was commenting on, I was very sad. Because I remember a river that when I was a kid at Anum Apapam, we normally fetch with our bucket. Today you have to go with a cup because it has evaporated. It's drying up. Why is it so? The bamboo trees along this river has been destroyed. So there is direct impact of sunshine on the land, and for that matter, there's high evaporation of moisture, causing drought there. And when I went to the forest, a place called Obuaho, these are the foreign nationals, they found their way into our virgin forest, destroying the forest for gold. Cutting down trees, destroying vegetation, we're losing some species of plants and animals due to their activities. And in some of the rivers that we normally fetch, you realize it has this oily surface because of the chemicals that normally drop in these waters or for their activities. Living organisms that cannot stand those chemicals perishes. That's the more reason why today you go to the farm, you don't get your imre, your mushroom. your snails and name them. Do you get some? We don't get them again. Those days, you go to a farm, you get a mushroom as big as maybe half of this table. But today, do we get some again? No, because of climate change. We get the mushroom? No, because of climate change. And then food and nutrition people come and tell us that we should eat a green vegetable. But to an extent, you know that it will really affect our food security.
Tell us more.
Sometimes the green that we eat has nothing. Yes.
What do you mean has nothing?
Yes, because of the presence of greenhouse gases. So the nutrients we need to get from these vegetables are not there. So you eat it and you eat only leaves. They have no nutrients as a result of these greenhouse gases. So you may go to the market and buy your vegetables thinking that, oh, I'm going to eat green. But you eat and green yourself, nothing, you don't get anyone to call any nutrient as a result of greenhouse gases. So if we think that the management or mitigation of climate change is a duty of a particular system agency, then we are making a big mistake. Every activity within a micro environment has direct impact in the macro environment. And the pain is that Africa, the quantum of greenhouse gases we emit having impact on the climate change is lesser than what the Western world is emitting. If you have ever bought, I'm sorry to use to say this, if you ever use home-used fridge, you realize that they advise you use fan, buy extra fan. But when you buy the new one, do you buy extra fan? No. Why is this so? Because it produces heat. And I was telling my students, we must move to a level where we can have greenhouse gases. Houses. You roof, and then you smear what we call a soil on it, and plant green grasses, water it, and you keep your room cold. You don't need air conditioning or fan. And at this period, we don't need smaller windows again. We need giant windows where we can, because if not because of robbers or thieves, you can open your windows and sleep. Today, even in your room, you use air conditioning, but you still sweat. Is that correct? Is that true? Yes, we sweat under air conditioning. This is as a result of global warming. Let me explain global warming using our, let me say, the Cape West analogy.
Okay.
When we're talking about climate change and global warming, people normally don't understand the concept. So let's say your cup is what we call point A, and my cup is point B. We are all preparing rice. You decide to remove the lid from your saucepan so that the heat or evaporates into the atmosphere. That is point A, right? That was what nature, or that is what should have been. But then what is happening now is that my point B is having a lid plus either, let's say, a napkin or plastic to make the rice soft. Normally, what to do? Yeah. Of course, yes. So now the heat is trapped in the, let me say, the atmosphere of the saucepan. So the heat which is supposed to move out of the saucepan is rather trapped in. Yours is going up, mine is trapped in. And the lid and then the napkin or the plastic is what we call the greenhouse gases, which is trapping the heat in the Earth's atmosphere. And for that matter, heat which is supposed to be radiated back into the Earth's atmosphere is rather trapped within the Earth's atmosphere, causing the global warming. So let's say I have ice cube in my saucepan, and you have yours. Which one will melt faster? Mine.
Yours.
That is what happening to the Earth now.
Right. This is a very deep topic that we are looking at now. I guess by now the explanations that has been given is making you understand that it behoves on us, myself, yourself, to get this done once and for all? Because you stated something and it caught my attention that whatever happens within our micro environment has an impact on our macro environment,
yes.
which is, be it small, it still affects the
Yes.
bigger.
So it means if a neighbor is messing, is messing up policies or house, don't think if I don't comment, it will affect me. That is his or her compound is a micro, but the entire community is what the macro. Whatever Ghana is doing, Ghana could be the micro, but Africa could be the macro.
Yes. And
so if you think someone is doing something at Tema, or I'm not living at Tema, so it wouldn't have consequences of me. You're making a mistake. Tema is a micro environment, but Ghana is a macro environment.
Meaning, when we see that people are putting the environment in a way that is not good, that is not inuring to the benefits of the environment, we need to speak out.
Of course, yes. Of course, yes.
But sometimes mantra when you and people are like, okay, mind your own business. Do you fear some?
In climate change, there's not like do you fear some.
Okay.
If we continue with that analogy, do you fear some in climate change, we all perish. Because about 20 or 30 years ago, we weren't using fans in our homes. If you remember, those days, at this time of the year, you can't bath cold water. We all heat water and bathed. But today, we even pray we get ice cube in our water before we bath. The water is hot. I did my national service at Boku, and in the evenings at this time of the year, I bathed as late as 10 p.m. because the water was so warm. I keep it on my roof for some hours before I could bath. Climate change. You see, we see our sisters along the road begging for alms, calling them carriers, pushing trucks, some going about searching for scraps and all that. Do you think they are so lazy? Do you think they don't know what luxury is? For which reason they cannot remain in the northern part at their comfort zone and enjoy? No. They have nothing, absolutely nothing doing at a particular period of the year.
So they all have to come down.
There's heavy droughts. Those who are along rivers, lakes, and then streams and dams could maybe farm. But where there are no rivers and all that, because of drought, you cannot you can't farm.
You can't survive.
There is excessive evaporation of moist or water from the soil as a result of the red sunshine. But when you go to the virgin forest, you realize that because of the canopy, the soil is still what we call, there's some moisture in the water. Yeah, that's what is happening.
But you know, before I remember some time back, the Energy Commission, you touched on something and about old fridges. The Energy Commission used to do an advert on if you have old fridges, bring it for new ones, and they will show you the number of stars to indicate that this one can emit lower and the other can emit higher. So you, what happened to all of that? Fine, we are talking from the micro to the macro. But indeed, what also the macro and the micro also, it relates. How do we do that? For instance, for the Energy Commission, looking at how we use our fridges, sometimes we use fridges for a very long time without changing because we know, oh, it's still working, it's in good condition. Why should I change it for a new one?
Yeah, I remember they ran that particular program, but ask yourself, supposing Energy Commission is in Accra Central and you are living at Abukubi, will you dare carry your old skeleton fridge to Accra and come and take a new one? And you know, in Africa, I wouldn't say Ghana alone, where you have to know someone before the right thing is done. I'm not blaming anyone. It's a fact I'm saying. You've got to know someone before the right thing is done. It is something that you are entitled to. When did it end? Do you hear of that program again? No. In the 80s, when we had these Lambo, they come to your various houses and make sure you paid your taxes. These days, we see that. Let me divert a bit. When I was young, we used to have these, what you call the surveyors. And our fathers call them Sophia. And we have, that's the forest reserve. where they normally come to a forest. When I was young, we were also farming in the forest reserve, and they'll come and chase my daddy. And when they're coming, you hear Sophia Fonobo, and then we start running. Today, do we see the Sophia people again? No. So where is this energy people that you're talking about? Where are they?
Energy Commission is there.
They are there.
Yeah.
But that program they used to run, do you hear of that program again? I'm not saying they're not working.
Perhaps
that's not what I'm saying.
For some time, it achieved the objective for which they were looking at, and
if you say so, I wouldn't challenge you
suggesting
on that.
That I know so.
Because I still have 2 old fridges that I'm not using in my house. I decided to stop using. I bought a new one and stopped using them.
Okay.
Yes. I didn't go for any change or any new one, but then I decided to buy my own thing and abandon. But they're still there. I don't want to give it, because if I give it out to someone, the person may be forced to use it. And I also find it difficult to also discard it. You see, in your home, let's assume that the whole Ghana, we use about 10 megawatts of power. Out of these 10, you alone, you use hair dryer, use water heater, electric stove, fans, you have air condition, 2 fridges, 1 in your kitchen, 1 in your bedroom, and then you come to your television and name them. You will name if you're using this one. And your hall alone is having about 4 bulbs. We're talking about the bedroom, the sitting room, the dining. We're not talking about, you're using about 3 or 4 bedrooms. Can you imagine the amount of energy you are using? And for that, we need to start using renewable energy and forgo this burning of fossil fuel. There's the car power and all that. We can use geothermal, that is the heat within the atmosphere. It could be trapped and used for energy. Solar energy.
That requires some sophistry to be able to do that.
Of course, yes.
But if I'm in my home,
you can use solar.
But someone will say solar is expensive. How about that?
Solar expensive?
Yes.
I don't think that is expensive, because once you construct it or you are able to do it, right, it will take a number of years before it may maybe spoil or it may need some maintenance. So those are the northern sector should resort to the use of what? Solar. We, those in the middle sector, may use the hydro. Then those are the beaches or the what we call by the sea, they go for what we call the wind, right? Then by so doing, we may not have to burn fossil fuel. Those are the extreme north should not even use the hydro. So if we have not started doing this, because Costa Rica is doing it, some countries are doing it, they're doing it. So what are we waiting for? So if you have solar in your house, I have solar in my house, we may not have to burn fossil fuel. In the absence of the hydro, the next option is what? Generator, which burns what we call fossil fuel and emits greenhouse gases.
Right, let me announce the phone to send in your contributions. It's 0244-745152. 0244-745152. You can send in your contributions and your comments onto that platform. You can send it by text message or on WhatsApp. Let's know your name and where you are reaching us from. We are looking at the impact of changing weather patterns and the contributory factors and our way forward, how we can maneuver our way around it. And I'm in studio with a climate change expert and a lecturer at AUCC, Mr. Peter Wonders, and he's shedding more light on this and making us understand that whatever you think it doesn't pertain to you, whatever happens in your neighbor's compound has an indirect or direct impact on the entire climate, and we need to speak out and we need to do the right things. And he's given us some examples of the activities as humans that we've been doing that is contributing to this whole global warming patterns and the change in our weather, and also telling us more about the ways we can go around it. So you can send in your text message. Please do not call that number. Send in your text message on 0244-745152 or your WhatsApp on 0244-745152. We are also streaming live on Facebook at the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation Facebook page. You can get there, send in your suggestions and your comments and your contributions, and we'll be glad to have them right here on set. But let's look at the media's angle. of how we have handled environmental issues. How do we even deepen awareness? Some steps have been taken. Yes, that needs to be admitted. But in our reportage, in even in our newsrooms, putting environment on our as part of our bulletins and all of that, how do we deepen the awareness? Because with what you are saying, ordinarily people thought, okay, where do you where do you be asem? What's the climate change? What's the weather na sign? Ono there from home bang and asem.
Yeah, I think that
What should be the media's approach?
I think we must educate our media personnel first, because I would say we need to be fair to our media. And if I'm saying be fair to our media, everybody has his strengths. Like you are an expert in what climate change. That's the more reason why we normally have discussion on climate change. Some do not even understand what it is. And for that matter, I would rather say we should speak to media owners to hire experts in climate change when they are hiring for their media houses. And the media's approach should be not only covering the dark part of our country, but discussions on our shows or on our media should not only be politics. As it stands today, permit me to say, we are not going to eat politics. Politics has its own way, but then Ghana media has turned into politics. You tune to every media house in the morning and it's about political show. We don't even discuss climate change. We don't discuss development. We discuss nothing than politics. So if we can consider the introduction of climate issues in our day-to-day activities or on our programs, like what we are doing this morning, I know the citizens will also want to come into awareness of what climate change is, and they will understand the do and don't, which will help to mitigate climate. That is my take on that issue. But then if we continue going wayward, using the ordinary method of journalism, forgive me to use that strong word, I'm sorry, anyway. But then, all I'm saying is that let's streamline our programs, our day-to-day programs on the media. Because we can just close our eyes and tell you what goes on the media on daily basis. And if you look at what the media produces, normally those who normally say we are talking about Ghana, it's about reporting on the dark part of Ghana. There are slums everywhere. In Europe, there are slums. Do you see slums in their movies? Do you see slums on their screens? No. But why is it that Ghana we normally portray our slums? Why is it that we don't discuss developmental issues? Why is it that we don't discuss, because the government introduced planting of trees? How many media houses have you seen them in the morning talking about this planting of trees? Educating people on the need to plant trees. I get to what I'm saying. That program, let me say, I gave the president a thumb up. But then I wished they could have educated us on the need to plant the trees, not only plant trees. I remember on one of your shows, I said, one evening I was from school, I got to Medina and I saw the trees. I was so, palm trees, and I was so happy. And I saw polytanks, and I said to myself, owners of the polytanks will come for them. How feasible is that particular intervention? And go and see if you can see the plants I spoke about. They are nowhere to be traced to.
Right, let me take this from K-Stone. K-Stone says, my brother, you are just on point. Just go ahead. We are behind you. We have also heard the submissions that you have given. And in our small corner, we'll also do well to mitigate the impact of climate change. And I am somewhere in Amasaman, and I'm feeling the severe harmattan due to the change in weather. And all that you have said, I'm also a corporate. Keystone, okay. Thank you very much. This one is coming from Awudu. Awudu says, you are right. We in the north have only one season for planting. So, of course, there are no jobs, and you certainly would have to move down to the urban cities to look for other sources of employment. And if what you are saying about the micro and macro works, then the macro and the micro should also have a synergy, because if I am at the north and I'm not finding anything to do, how else do I survive more or less to feed my family? So the macro should also be working. The systems, he means, should be working. That is Awuju from the north. Hello, I have also a song on waste segregation, which I'm ready to partner for campaign on waste segregation. Okay, you talked about segregating our waste,
Yes.
e-waste, and all of those. And there's, but you didn't add your name. He is also saying there's also a campaign strategy that he wants to use. That he has also produced a song on waste segregation. And well, if you come to our media house and you talk to the powers that be, I'm sure. No, because it's all in the effort of a green Ghana.
Yes.
Yes, it's all in the effort of a green Ghana. Let me pick some messages right also here. I have this message. My name is Raphael the Aspirant. This is a serious fact about how to manage e-waste. Oh, unfortunately. Okay, I'll get that message from Raphael soon. I'll try, and there are other people calling the number. If you can send in your text message or your WhatsApp message, I'll gladly appreciate it. Once you try calling the line, it obstructs other people's messages that they have sent in. But let me pick that of Raphael the Aspirant again. He says this is a serious fact about how to manage energy waste. Climate change is more from our environmental behavior. We truly need higher level of education and strong law enforcement on how we handle waste. Handling of waste. You have talked about segregation, and those in the hinterlands, if there is nowhere to keep their waste, should they continue burning, or how do they bury? How do they go about it?
Segregate. Once we teach them how to segregate.
But once you segregate, where would it land?
But you know, these days there are some agencies that buy plastics. There are agencies that buy metals. So once we tell them about the need to segregate, you know we can make money out of waste.
Tell us.
Ghana can make money out of waste. If we are able to segregate, we can sell these plastics and pay those who go for the what we call the rubbish. We can also melt these metals. We used to have Valco and some agencies that are into metal works. They melt them and then convert them to other or mold other materials from it. Okay, and then with these glasses, they used to have glass factory in Ghana. That's very sad. But then the perishable waste too, we can convert it into manure. Then we don't have to buy from the West. We can have our manure here from our waste. Go to fertilizer, Teshi fertilizer, and you see whether I don't know what is a mountain or a hill over there.
A hill of
You see, and that is money. We can convert into manure. If indeed we call the place fertilizer.
But that huge refuse has been there for years. Even when I was a child.
Myself too.
Yes. So why haven't we found the technology to be able to convert it into manure, as you have said?
That is a problem. That's the problem.
There's no will to get it done, or the money is not there to be.
For that one, I think let me leave that one to the powers be.
Anyway, your final comments. Let's go.
Okay. Yeah. My final comment is that as we are planting trees, do you hear birds chirping these days? 6 a.m., 5:30 to 6 a.m. Do you hear birds chirping again? No, they are far from you. Why is it so? Because their food is far from you. Some species of plants, we don't see them again because the animals and birds who have to disperse the seeds that will get us those species of plants are no more. The birds are far from us, the animals are far from us. So how can we bring these animals or birds, these birds back? By planting of trees. We should not also only plant any tree at all. We should plant trees that will give us food, as fruits. Just imagine, along this motorway from the Tekwashu roundabout to Tema roundabout, We are able to plant trees on the left and right side of the roads. In the next 3 years, just imagine the amount of food we make for Ghanaians. Only motorway alone. Just imagine. We have pawpaw, we have tomato, what do you call mangoes, we have melon, we have, name them, oranges and pear. In the next 10 years, in Accra, every part of Accra, you only have to walk through, pluck, and start eating. Just imagine, even what we call in front of GBC, having all these fruits over there. You may not have to buy, you pluck and start eating. And which will eradicate what? Farming. So my final comment is that we should find a way or stop emitting greenhouse gases, and we'll have a nice environment to live in. And don't forget, when the last tree dies, the last man will also die. Thank you very much.
When the last tree dies, the last man will also die. And before I let you go, there is one area I would want you to also touch on quickly. That is attitude towards climate change. Yes, because all that you have said, it is, even though it's a bigger picture, it borders on individuals. Give us in a split second, how should individuals change their mindset towards the environment?
They must first understand what climate change is. 2, they should stop burning what we call fossil fuel. They should stop burning rubbish at home. They should stop burning rubber car tires, right? Those car tires for those scrap dealers. We should streamline their activities. If there's an alternative way of extracting metals or any of the product they want from these car tires, we should educate them on it so that we can stop burning of these rubbishes at home, and also minimize the use of transport. Like sometimes we can decide to park our cars and use the public transport system. And again, also destroying water bodies, stop cutting down of trees and planting more trees to sink the carbon dioxide or the greenhouse gases. That's what I will also add to what you have asked.
Thank you so much for that submission. And I've been speaking with Peter Wonders, a climate change expert and a lecturer at AUCC, on the impact of changing weather patterns and how we can go about it. And one of the saddest news that came to us this morning was the death of our very own Ghanaian international Christian Atsu. And that footballer Christian Atsu has been founded under the rubble of his home almost 2 weeks after the Turkey earthquake. This was confirmed on Twitter by his agent. The Ghanaian international has spells with Premier League sides Everton, Chelsea and Newcastle. Atsu had been missing since the 6th February quake that caused the collapse of his apartment in Antakya, Haiti. Atsu joined Hatayspor in September 2022 after a season with Saudi Arabian team Al Riyadh, and scored the winning goal in a Super League match on 5th February. He won 65 caps for Ghana and helped his country reach the 2015 Africa Cup of Nations final, where they lost to Ivory Coast on penalties. Atsu was later named player of the tournament. He joined Chelsea from Porto in 2013 and had several loan spells at clubs including Everton and Bournemouth. Sad news for Ghana at this day. May his soul rest in perfect peace, and our sincerest condolences to the family and the football fraternity. May his soul rest in perfect peace. This has been the Reporters Roundtable. We bow out now. God willing, we'll see you again same time next week.